Diver spends hours freeing a whale from a net. Her response will shock you. Even though there is a language barrier between humans and animals, sometimes we still make powerful connections that don't require any words. This is what happened to professional diver James Mosquito, who saved a humpback whale and received the most amazing "thank you" that he could ever get.
Before we begin, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos.
The man we are seeing in this picture is James Mosquito. James is a professional diver who had an experience of a lifetime after saving a humpback whale. James Mosquito's story starts when he was leading a team of volunteers near the coast of San Francisco. Here's how everything started. As James and his team were cruising on the water, James saw something moving. Not knowing what it was, he wanted to get a better look. Let's see what James spotted. James saw a splash of water. He immediately started thinking that this might be a humpback whale, but this couldn't be true because humpback whales don't stick around the surface. This is when curiosity got the best of him. After realizing that the splash of water might be a humpback whale, James turned to his crew and told them to head towards it. Let's see if James was right or not. James was right. The splash of water was made by a humpback whale. Although, the fact that the humpback whale was staying near the surface meant that it was in trouble. Check out the next picture to find out why. Humpback whales are known to only come up to surface to take a breath of air and then leave. It isn't in their nature to stick around the surface. Therefore, James realized that something bad was going on. You won't believe what he did next. Without giving it any second thought, James jumped into the water and headed towards the humpback whale. He knew that something was wrong, but he wasn't ready for what he was about to find. The humpback whale was tied in fishing nets. This was terrific to see, especially since the whale was just keeping her eye over the water's surface. James still can't believe how the whale first reacted to his presence. "I put my hand on the whale, right next to the eye, and started petting it," said James about the first thing he did after seeing the humpback whale. Nonetheless, this is when he knew that he needed to free the animal. James knew that he needed to somehow free the animal, so he started cutting the ropes. Doing this was not as easy as it might seem since the humpback whale was covered in ropes around her tail, mouth and face. How do you think the humpback whale reacted to this? To everyone's surprise, the humpback whale cooperated with James. While he was taking off the longest ropes which were tied to the whale's back, he still needed to somehow get the ones that were stuck around her tail and mouth. Lucky for James, the humpback whale couldn't be more cooperative. James says that the whale would open its mouth so that he could cut the ropes which were stuck there. James admits that he was a little afraid that the whale might close its mouth, but he did it anyway. Things got a little bit scary when James got to the tail. The whale needed to stay calm and James knew exactly how to do that. He went next to the whale's eye again and started petting her around as to let her know that he is there to help. Luckily, the whale calmed down and James went straight for the tail. Check out what happened next. After calming the humpback whale, James didn't hesitate and went straight to the tail to cut the last pieces of the rope which was keeping the humpback whale tied. Scroll down to see how the whale reacted after being untied. The humpback whale instantly started moving as soon as it was untied. This was amazing to see because the whale was at risk of drowning. However, James was not prepared to see how the whale wanted to thank him. You'll be amazed to see its reaction. After playing around for a bit, the whale started rushing straight towards James. "It felt as if a train or freight truck was coming for me," said the diver as the whale was coming closer. You won't believe what happened next. Instead of hitting James, the humpback whale stopped within a few inches of him. To make things even more amazing, the whale put her head close to James and started bumping into him. Just like dogs and cats do when they want to be pet. Seeing this, James knew what he needed to do. James started playing around with the humpback whale, just like he would do with a house pet that wanted attention. This was the whale's way of saying thanks. Even though the size difference between James and the humpback whale was quite big, James was not afraid to play around with the animal because he knew that it was just thanking him for saving its life. You will be surprised to see how it said goodbye to James. Even though humpback whales might not be known for their good manners, this one made sure to wave goodbye before it left. This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and James should be thankful for getting the chance to experience it. Although, I don't know how many other people would jump in deep waters to save a huge humpback whale.